Hello and welcome to grade 11 college math. We're in unit 3 of personal finances and we're on lesson 4, obtaining a vehicle. So really we just have this chart to go over. So I might hide some of it and we'll reveal one section at a time so we can keep our focus on the main points. In life, most people want or need to have a car for everyday life. Purchasing a car is likely to be the second most expensive purchase a person makes in their lifetime after buying a home, and therefore it takes some thought and planning. Wait, what are your options of when obtaining a car? Well, you could buy a new car by paying cash. So this would be to pay the car in cash, pay for the car in full, and you would have no future payments required. What are the positives about this? Well, often big discounts and incentives if you can pay for the car outright. You won't be paying any interest, which is great. You get a full warranty and you own the car. Usually they throw in roadside assistance and you get the car with the features you want, all pluses. What are the cons? Well, it is difficult to save for that amount of money. Not too many of us have that type of money lying around that we could just put into a car. The amount requires tens of thousands of dollars. So usually people are using that kind of money for other things, day-to-day life or saving, or you'd probably put that down on your house before you'd buy a car. So it really depends. You'd have to have that extra money. It has high depreciation. So it's the rate that the price goes down after you drive it off the lot. So something to consider. You will pay higher insurance on more expensive vehicles, brand new vehicles. All right, your next choice is to buy new and finance it, meaning make up a payment plan with the dealer or with the bank. So you would have monthly payments for a specified amount of time. So you might take a 24, 36, 48, 60-month lease, or finance plan to pay it back. Often higher monthly payments and usually requires an initial down payment. So something to consider. They either require it or it's also a good idea to put something down on the vehicle. Sometimes you get discounts. Um, it's more affordable than paying. It can be more affordable than paying cash, meaning you might not have all that money on hand to pay for it, but you can still buy a really nice car under a financing plan. You will be linked to an ownership, which is good, or you do have ownership on it. You do have full warranty. You'll have that roadside assistance, and you get the car and the features you want. So a lot of the same pluses from above. Well, here's the cons. This is the big one. Okay, so um, you will pay interest for sure, and depending how long you finance it for, the more interest you'll pay. Possibly repairs cost before the end of the car payment. So what happens is you might have a good warranty for the first 3 or 5 years, but then you could be paying it for the car longer than 3 or 5 years, and therefore your car starts to break down in the sixth or seventh year, but you're still making car payments and having to do repair costs. That's where that can be a problem. You will get higher insurance because it's a brand new car, and you have limited discounts on the car. So usually they don't have as many incentives. One other negative to buying a new finance car is if you have committed yourself to buying a car and the you extend that out to a long loan, if you ever get into financial trouble, you lose your job or something like that, and then you think, oh, one way of making money is to sell back my car. The problem with that is it's depreciated, okay? And when you pay it back, so you won't get as much money for it as it's worth, and you may have to keep making those payments. So that's where some people get themselves in deep financial problems. Okay, the next option is a lease option. So lease is sometimes, so when you lease it, it's like renting the car for a set amount of time. You don't actually own it. It belongs to the dealership, and you're going to use it for a set amount of time, like 3 years, 5 years. Okay, so sometimes requires a initial down payment. Just sort of the dealership likes to see you make some commitment to keeping that car in good shape. You will have a monthly payment for a specified amount of period of time. You will return the vehicle at the end of the lease, and sometimes or often they give you a buyout option. So a price at the end of the lease that you can pay if you want to just buy the vehicle right at the end and keep it. So what are some pros? Well, the buyout option can be good. It's usually affordable to a certain degree. Especially when you know you took care of the car, then it's worth keeping on to maybe if you like it. If you may be a person who likes to get a new car every 1 to 5 years, so one way to do that is to lease, and you just keep rolling them over with the dealership and get the newest version. You can lower your monthly payments compared to a financing because you're going to own the car when you finance, so you're going to pay more. And when you're leasing, it feels like you're owning and you're paying monthly, but you don't own it at the end. So because of that, the monthly payment will be lower. Anyway, you still get the benefits of full warranty and roadside assistance whenever you do that. Okay, and cons. Well, in some cases, it's more expensive than perhaps um, buying a used car. Perhaps you are dealing with a higher interest rate because the dealership is protecting themselves over lending it out to you. You don't own the car. That's a bit of a negative. You have no resale value, so you cannot sell the vehicle. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the dealership. You might have kilometer restrictions, so it might say something like you're only allowed 20,000 kilometers a year. Now, if you're doing any type of job where you're driving across the city, or you like to take weekend trips to go see relatives in Montreal or Toronto, that could really add up, and you might go beyond those restrictions, and then there'll be fees, there'll be penalty fees for those things. Some people are willing to live with those fees as part of the deal. You will have to pay for any damages upon return. So again, if I have like myself, if I have a family with 3 kids and I'm worried about them constantly dinging the doors or ripping the upholstery inside the car, there's no way I'm going to lease a vehicle in case they might uh, cause damages. Anyways, it is a new vehicle still, so you are going to have higher insurance. The last option is likely the most realistic for most young people starting out, and even smart spenders who are well established. Still, a used vehicle is a great way to buy a vehicle. You get a dealer, you find a dealer, you could do it from private sale. Uh, Now, the whole thing is your buyer beware. So you obtain the vehicle information report. You're taking a chance. You're trusting the dealership or that individual that you're buying it from. And now you can do things you need to do. Like usually you can have an agreement where you bring it to a garage where you trust and they can look it over so that you get your parents to look it over. You could have just another, somebody in your family that knows cars a lot looks it over and tells you whether this is something you should go for or not. Definitely when you're close to the decision, you'd want to get it checked over. Well, what are the pros? Obviously, it's cheaper. You can sometimes negotiate. Well, there's less depreciation because the vehicle's already depreciated for the most part when it was owned during the first owner. You can have lower insurance rates because the replacement value for a used car is much lower. You can drive it off the lot, so you're not waiting for it to be delivered or customized or brought from across the country. So usually it's ready to go. They might clean it for you. They might do some touch-ups for you and then send you on your way. You can often buy a limited warranty, which is a great idea because you usually get a pretty good deal on that from the dealer. So it would cover things beyond the original warranty that have worn out. Um, and then you can get an additional warranty. That's a good idea. The cons, well, you have no manufacturer warranty left if it's a private sale. Um, it is an older vehicle. Some people like older vehicles for their character, but older I mean more used. So is it going to break down faster? We'll see. It has more mileage, so a lot of people regard mileage as a way to tell how old the engine and how much wear and tear has been on the vehicle. It's had more maintenance and repairs. That could be a good thing if the previous owner was really good at taking care of it, got regular maintenance, got things repaired as soon as possible, then that shouldn't be a problem. If anything, you have brand new parts in some of those areas. Is the vehicle certified? This is the key. You need to certify vehicles. You can't get a license plate on your vehicle and then drive it around if it's not certified. Certified means it's a safety check. It's met all safety requirements, and sometimes you'll have a problem with that. Sometimes the person will advertise it as is, right? And as is means you're taking it the way it is with no consideration of it being safety by the previous owner. So the previous owner has no obligation to sell you a safe vehicle. He's just selling you a piece of um, mechanical equipment. And if it runs, great. If it's safe, great. If it needs work, they're basically saying then it's up to you to cover that and to fix it and to pay for that. So that might be a good deal if you are really handy at working on cars. If you have relatives that do cars, work on cars, then it might be no problem. You might save a bit of money doing that. Now it might be that you don't, but you really like the vehicle. So what you're saying is, I'm willing to buy this vehicle, and I'll get it safety myself. Thank you very much. And then you take on those costs if you really like the vehicle that much. So that's an important factor. Now, with that being said, if you're going to a dealer, if you want to go into these one of used car dealerships, they are, I don't know if they're obligated, but I have a feeling they are, but they have to sell you a certified vehicle, I believe. And so they probably have the price would be raised a little bit because they might have had to put some work into it. They might have had to put some new parts into it, and they put some labor for the workers to fix the car up ready to sell. So that's why if you're looking at used car sales in Kijiji versus used car sales at dealers, you're probably going to see a price difference because the dealers, well, first of all, they have to make a little bit more money, but they probably put the certification in there. All right. Has the car been in a collision? Again, you can usually get this from a vehicle information report, like Carfax report, and it should be pretty honest. They're supposed to be regulated, but you hear plenty of rumors out there that things aren't always clear that way, and I don't know. I don't want to think the bad things, but maybe people somehow hide some of the background information. I don't. Anyways, let's on the most part, let's say people are honest, and you can get a Carfax report that tells you the history of the vehicle, so you can make an informed decision. You might still want to get the vehicle, and even if it's been in a collision. So, what sort of things should you consider when buying a new or used vehicle, and maybe the options you might be looking for? So, in a new vehicle, you better have an AC that works for summertime. You might want to take uh, get a four-wheel drive vehicle, right, or two-wheel drive. Okay, you might look for new Bluetooth options and tech. Um, you might want to know things about the color. You might be concerned with price, bonuses, incentives, warranty. Okay, those are just some ideas. I mean, there's plenty more things to consider. Now, with used vehicles, other things you need to consider when you're shopping for that, you need certified, or you need to get it certified. Um, you have to see, are there any accident history? A lot of cars on dealerships have had accidents, and you just have to look into it. You can't trust that everyone is being honest all the time. So, what about kilometers? A gentle versus aggressive driver. The the stereotype here is, let's say we had a older woman driver versus a teenager driver. Might have been a little rougher on it. Do they know if it's what has traditionally been highway driving or city driving? Kilometers. What else? Is the price negotiable? Most private dealers will negotiate. Most dealerships will too, because they're usually setting a price high, and they're expecting that you'll probably try and get it down. Are there damages that are there? Um, and you have proof of maintenance. Other things that people like to consider. Other things that people like to consider. Well, standard versus manual. Like a manual speed where you're shifting the gears yourself. Some people really like that. It not only makes sense for driving, but it makes it, for many people, more enjoyable. And if you are doing manual, hmm, manual 5 or 6 speed. Anyway, these are just ideas. Not all people worry about that. If you're doing, yeah, standard versus manual. Okay, so, um, you might be a real car enthusiast. So you might say the engine or the motor size. You might pick, what the interior looks like. Do you need roof racks because you're a kayaker? So, I mean, we're just adding things here. Do you have a bed liner for a truck? So, just things to think about there. Some examples. All right. So we get into the next part where we actually look at some of the math behind purchasing our vehicles. Okay, let's look at the financing cost of obtaining a vehicle. Now in option one, we're going to look at financing a new vehicle. I have my calculator beside me here from Desmos, and we'll use that as we go through so everyone can see the numbers. So a local dealership is selling a new compact car for $17,995 plus taxes. The dealership offers financing at 4.9% annual interest, compounded monthly over 4 years. You have saved $3,000 for a down payment. You will finance the rest. So meaning you're going to pay that off of the 17 and then you're going to finance. You're going to pay a loan to get that. So you'll need a loan from either the dealership, but is really a loan from the bank because every dealership is linked to a bank. All right, so calculate the cost of the vehicle with tax. So we're going to step two. Now there's two ways of doing it, right? But you could either do 17,995 times 0.3 and then get a total. 17,995 times 0.13, and we have a total of 2,339.35. And now we add the original 17,995 plus 2,339, not 23,000. That'd be a lot of tax. Okay, like as we've done with this calculator before, we go answer down the button down at the bottom here beside the plus sign, and we add to the original 17,995. What I like about the Desmos calculator is it keeps a running tally of everything we've done, so we can kind of retrace our steps, especially if we make a mistake or we just want to see the numbers. Okay, so that's one way to do it. You probably know a different way, and there's a quicker way. And anytime we're doing tax, doesn't matter if it's a car or any amount, we can do 1.13. So this is saying the 13% plus the original. So if I go 17,000 times 1, it includes the 17,000 and the 13% of it. So let's just see. We should get the exact same number. Let's just double check. 17,995 and 1.13. And yeah, we got the same number, of course. 2033435. Okay, good. What will be the amount financed? So the amount financed is the total cost, subtract the down payment, equals the present value. So you're seeing some common terminology. We're going to do compound interest calculation, so we need to know present value. In this case, our new total cost includes the GST. Okay, we're going to have the 20,334.35 minus the down payment, which was up here 3,000. Well, we can do that on the side here if we want, but we have our answer minus 3,000. And what do we get? 17,334 and 35 cents. Okay, that's our present value of what we're going to finance. This is what we have to borrow. This is what we're taking a loan for. The salesperson uses a financial calculator to determine that the monthly payment for the vehicle will be almost $400. Okay. Find the total cost of the car, meaning, okay, we are going to have, now we have to go all the way back up here. So, all right, so how much are we going to finance this for? 4 years, monthly. Okay, so since it's going to be 4 years times 12 months, one payment a month, it's going to be 48 payments. So we're going to have total cost will equal monthly payment times number of payments plus, so we'll kind of bracket those, plus, remember you did pay a down payment, so that's included in the cost. All right, so our total cost is going to be the monthly payments of $398. Oh boy, these markers. 398.41 times 48 plus the original was $3,000 down payment equals. So let's use our calculator here. Use a bracket. 398.41. Now bed mass, we'll figure it out, and the calculator will do it in order, but I like to put a bracket there just to make sure. And so it's going to multiply that first and then add 3,000. Our total cost for the vehicle is now 22,123.68. This is over 4 years. So we're taking, look back now, and we had a vehicle for 17, well, let's be realistic, 18,000 is now going to cost us 4,000 more in total. And that's all interest, so almost $1,000 of interest a year. Maybe that's something you're willing to live with. Yeah, that's fine. But anyways, so what are we going to do now? So now it says how much interest will be paid over 4 years. So the interest paid equals total cost with interest okay, minus cost of vehicle with tax, which was basically the present value we had figured out. So what will this be? So let's grab these numbers. This is the big number that we just came up with. So we're going to use that here, 22,000. 123.68 minus the present value or the cost of the vehicle with tax, but taken because, so this is really present value because we're only paying the interest on the amount borrowed. We're not going to pay. We're not going to pay interest on the 3,000. So we're going to pay the interest on the 17,000. All right. So, which makes it look even more alarming, actually. So, well, no, we thought around $4,000. So let's try this out. 1.3.68 minus 17,334.35. And we have, yeah, almost 5,000 actually. So 4,789 and 33 cents. Okay, so that's a bit of a that's a big number, right? So when you consider that the cost of the vehicle in total um, is, remember the total cost was to 20,334. I'm just interested here. So how much are you paying, right? So you're paying 4,789 roughly divided by 20,334. Almost 23% of the vehicle you're spending again. So you're buying the car 1.2 times. Anyways, that's fine. All right, let's continue. How would it work if we lease the vehicle? When we're weighing buying versus leasing. Okay, let's look at option two, to lease a new vehicle example. Leasing a vehicle is basically entering into a long-term rental agreement. You drive the car, but you do not own it. To lease a new car, here's an example. So to lease a new car selling for $24,000 at 0% financing, a customer agrees to pay $1,000 down payment. Okay, so let's write that down. And make 48 monthly payments of $369. So you have to think, okay, that's how many years? That's 4 years, right? 48 months is 4 years. Okay, calculate the total cost to lease the vehicle. So the total cost equals monthly payments times number of payments plus the down payment. So you're getting 0% financing, so we don't have to worry about compounding interest here. All right, we have the monthly payment of $369 times 48 months plus you paid $1,000. So let's try that out. Okay, so 369 times 48 months plus $1,000. Now, if you can pay more for down payment, if you could save more than $1,000 for down payment, you will lower your monthly expenses, your monthly fees. So that's what some people are motivated to do. Anyways, we get a total cost of $18,712. Okay. So the cost of the lease to lease this car for 4 years is $18,000. Therefore, it costs $18,712 to lease this car for 4 years. Okay, calculate the average cost per month over the life of the lease. So this is more like, it's a bit misleading because you're probably gonna, your $1,000 will be gone, and you know that you'll just be making monthly payments of $369. So in that way, you're kind of managing that. But what is the average anyway? So if you want to say, how much am I budgeting for? So let's figure out the average cost per month. So if we have 18,712 divided by 48 months, that will equal 18,712 48 is 389 and 83 cents. So this includes down payment, therefore, I did this a lot earlier, therefore the average cost per month over life of the lease is 389 and 83 cents. Okay, compared to what was our costs up above of owning the vehicle? Well, actually, they're different vehicles, so it's not really worth it. But that was costing $398 a month. So you can tell this is less of a vehicle, but we're going to own it. Versus leasing, we're paying almost a month as much a month, but we're not going to own the vehicle. All right, one more example of a used vehicle purchase to cover. So option 3, buy a used vehicle example. An interesting fact here, remember that you wouldn't remember this, but prior to the HST when being used, uh, when buying a used vehicle, you only had to pay 8% of provincial sales tax, and the 5% of government sales tax, GST, was already paid upon initial purchase of the car. Now, with the HST, it's called harmonized. Harmonized means bringing together the provincial and the government. When it's in place, you are required to pay the entire amount. Okay, here's our example. A used car will cost much less than a new model of the same car. Often, a used car loan will have a shorter payback period than a loan for a new car. You find a car advertised for sale in a local newspaper for $5,000. Determine the total cost of the vehicle with tax. Okay, so cost with tax, so cost with tax, we would have $5,000. We're going to do the faster way, the 1.13, and we punch that into our calculator. We have 5,650 Okay. Therefore, so suppose the monthly payment for the car loan was 7% interest. So 7% we're going to convert to 0.07 compounded monthly. So that's 12 times for 2 years. Okay, so we're going to have an end value of 2 times 12, 24, 24 periods. Okay, is $256. Okay, that's the monthly payment right here. What will be the total cost of the vehicle? Okay, assume there is no down payment. All right, maybe with a used car you don't need to have a down payment sometimes, eh? Okay, so let's think about this one for a second here. We're going to have, this is going to be the total. So this contains what the interest will be over time. So we have to kind of work backwards. And the way we did that was, so we actually know the future value. The future value of this car is 256. Now it's not really the future value, but it's the future of what we paid for it, times 24 months. Okay, and we're going to end up using things that we learned last unit, to like our present value equation. And I'll remind you of how to do that. So 256.13 times 24. So the total amount we're going to spend on this vehicle is 66,147. So that actually uh, is the final answer. We actually don't need to use the equation. So it's as simple as that. So the 7% doesn't play into any factor, and we're okay doing it this way. All right, thank you for following along, and we'll see you at the next lesson.